Hello friends and welcome back to Rodriguez Reviews. I'm your host Javier Rodriguez. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today we're going to be talking about Killers of the Flower Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon is directed by the legendary filmmaker Martin Scorsese. And he brings Killer to the Flower Moon to the big screen. This film is based on true events and the novel Killers of the Flower Moon, The Birth of the FBI and the Osage Murders. So this is quite a picture. Definitely Martin Scorsese, he's a master filmmaker. He's one of my favorite directors of all time. His films are very in-depth and artistic, and he perfectly captures his stories with his characters, his dialogue, and his scenery. So let's kind of dive deep into Killers of the Flower Moon. So when the Osage community discovers oil during the 1920s, it's a big deal for them. They discovered oil that helps with heating, electricity. So oil is discovered by the Osage community, and they become very wealthy from it. So they become very wealthy from the oil, they're enjoying their life, and then soon, mysteriously, a lot of members of the Osage community start becoming murdered one by one. And soon the FBI comes in to unravel this mystery of what's causing all these random, uncausally, timely deaths happening in the Osage community. And like I mentioned earlier, this is quite the picture, especially on the big screen. So I saw this with a group of friends on IMAX. It's quite the experience. I mean, again, Scorsese, he's a master of his craft. He knows what he's doing. He perfectly captures each shot brilliantly. The opening scene really grabs me in with the Osage community coming together, and then when they discover oil, they're dancing in the oil, and it's just so beautifully shot. And then the score, too, that they have, it just perfectly blends in really well. And I knew I was getting into something special when just with that opening scene, with the first 5 minutes of the film, I knew I was getting into something pretty special. And we have a great cast here. We have Leonardo DiCaprio, who's collabed with Scorsese multiple times. He's great here. He plays Ernest Berkowitz, who is a soldier who just came back from World War I. He comes and reunites with his uncle. William Hale, played by Robert De Niro, another Martin Scorsese favorite who's played in multiple films with him. De Niro and Scorsese, they've been working together for 50 years, since Mean Streets, which came out in '73. They work so well together. Scorsese and DiCaprio, Scorsese and De Niro, when you see those guys in a picture working with Scorsese, you know you're in for a treat. And they both portray their characters so well. Leonardo DiCaprio, he's great here. Ernest, he's kind of dim-witted a little bit, a little clueless. And his uncle, played by De Niro, who's De Niro's one of his greatest performances since The Irishman here. William Hale, he pretends to be really close with the Osage community, like he's a friend, he'll do anything from them, but really, he's kind of a greedy guy and a ruthless, cruel person. He pretends to be nice and your friend, but deep down, he's really in it for himself. And then soon Ernest comes across a woman, Molly, played by Lily Gladstone, who does a phenomenal job here. This is one of her breakout roles, and she's really great in this film. I think she carries the film so well. She puts a lot of heart and soul into her character, and you really feel the emotions when she starts realizing that soon a lot of the people from her community, the Osage community, are just randomly dying unexpectedly. And like I said, she just gives a phenomenal performance. I definitely see her getting an Oscar nom for Best Actress. She just crushes it. And she's, like I said, she just does a really great job in this film, and I can't wait to see more of her work soon because she's just so well in this film, and perfectly casted too. And her and DiCaprio work really well too. Her and DiCaprio, they develop a relationship, they soon develop a family, and then De Niro's character, he's really in it for himself. He's greedy, like I mentioned earlier. He pretends to be friends with the Osage community, but he really wants their wealth. You know, when he sees them, he really thinks of money and himself. And he tries to kind of manipulate Ernest, who tries to manipulate his wife. So it's a lot of stuff going on, but great cast. A lot of great performances, great cinematography. And then you also have Brendan Fraser, who plays a short role in this film as one of the attorneys for Hale. Great job. He's in the film, very minimal, but great job. Jesse Plemons plays one of the FBI agents. Again, great work. So a lot of great stuff really going on here. And it's Scorsese, so I'm not trying to be biased, but I'm a big fan of Scorsese, and I really do love and enjoy a lot of his movies. Like I mentioned earlier, they're very artistic and creative, and he just perfectly captures the story on the big screen. So the film plays out as a suspenseful thriller. You're basically trying to find the pieces of the puzzle of what's causing these murders and helping the FBI kind of tracking them down because they're trying to get answers. So it's a well done picture. And it is 3.5 hours, 3 hours and 26 minutes. So if you are going to see in the theater, which I do recommend, it is a very interesting picture and it's definitely movie theater worthy to watch on the big screen. But if you do see it in theaters, I highly recommend going to the bathroom before, because it is 3.5 hours. I think for the most part the film is well paced. Definitely towards the end I did kind of feel that runtime kind of kick in a little bit. But for the most part I was very invested into the film due to its story, its mystery, suspense, and its great performances. So, but just beware, the film is 3.5 hours. But like I mentioned, it is worth watching. Every element of the film is important. It could have been cut down a little bit, but just about every element in the film is very important. And the ending is just, the opening scene to the ending is just beautifully shot. And it's a very interesting film too, giving a story telling about the Osage community and their struggles with the oil and what's happening with their family and their community. It's a story that's very interesting and something I wasn't very too familiar about, and it's based on the novel and it's based on true events. So you do get a historical lesson in the film as well. And it's a very enjoyable movie. It's quite the experience. I enjoyed it with my friends. I saw it on IMAX. And I definitely see it getting nominated for a lot of Oscars for sure. So go ahead and check out Killers of the Flower Moon, currently in theaters. I'm going to go ahead and give Killers of the Flower Moon an A-. Alright guys, thank you and stay tuned for my next review.